And that covers our discussion on Level 3 apex species, announced Lecturer Krillix, their shimmering crystalline limbs catching the glow of the Celestial Concord Academy's main auditorium lights. Any questions? Yes, you, the human in the back? Rhea Vandross resisted the urge to sigh. Every single head in her Exobiology 101 session, some scaled, some translucent, some covered in luminescent fibers, turned to stare at the lone human in the crowd. Being the only Earthling in the Conquer's prestigious interstellar biology program had its drawbacks, including the perpetual status of curiosity. Lecturer, Rhea began, forcing a polite smile. I noticed Earth's aquatic predators weren't mentioned in your classification. Where would you place an azure apex shark on the scale? Krillix's iridescent arms raised in a patronizing gesture. Ah, Ms. Vandross. While we appreciate your enthusiasm, most Earth predators are evaluated as merely Tier 2 or below. Perhaps you're overestimating this azure apex shark because humans are known to be timid. A ripple of alien chittering spread through the hall. Rhea felt her face warm, not from embarrassment, but righteous indignation. These folks had it all wrong. Lecturer, she said, may I share some data? It might clear up a few misconceptions. Very well, Krillix replied, his crystalline tone implying he doubted she had anything truly groundbreaking to add. Rhea linked her datapad to the overhead holoprojector, summoning a 3D image of an azure apex shark in mid-strike. Several Aquatic Legion students recoiled. Apparently the visuals alone were unsettling. Azusa carcharodon, Rhea explained in her trademarked calm, scholarly voice, commonly called the azure apex shark. They can reach nearly 6 meters in length, weigh more than 2,000 kilograms, and have refined their hunting methods over millions of years. Yes, Krillix interrupted. Size is one factor, but they can detect a single drop of blood in 100 liters of water, Rhea continued. They have rows of serrated teeth that continuously replace themselves and a bite force exceeding 1/800 newtons. Their skin is layered with tooth-like structures called dermal shards, allowing them to glide nearly silently at speeds of 56 kilometers per hour. The lecture hall had fallen eerily quiet. One amphibious student near the front whimpered softly. And more importantly, Rhea pressed on, they possess electroreception, sensing the faint bioelectric signals of other creatures' heartbeats. Some have been documented breaching entirely out of the water to catch their prey. Lecturer Krillix's once lustrous limbs had dulled to a pale glimmer. That is unusual. Still, these sharks must have notable weaknesses. Certainly, Rhea nodded, flipping to the next slide. They're not even the top hunters in Earth's oceans. Let's discuss oryx whales, often called killer whales even though they're the largest type of dolphin. They hunt azure apex sharks for sport, selectively targeting the shark's organs with surgical precision. They also work cooperatively to generate waves that knock seals off ice floes. They've been observed teaching their offspring and even forming alliances with human whalers in centuries past, coordinating hunts in exchange for a share of the catch. Silence fell so heavy you could hear the hum of the environmental controls. Well, Krillix sputtered, that certainly changes things. But I suppose, and while we're on the subject, Rhea said, warming to it, there's the colossal gray whale, the largest predator Earth has ever seen. They use powerful sonar clicks to stun giant deep-sea creatures at depths that would crush most spacecraft. At depths that would crush most spacecraft? Krillix clutched at his lecture notes. Mrs. Vandross, I believe we may need to reevaluate our classification system. Let's take a brief recess. Happy to oblige. Rhea offered a sweet smile. After the break, should I touch on Earth's terrestrial predators? I have fascinating data on grit badgers. They fight off lion prides and have been observed using rudimentary tools. Most horrifying. These lizards were like a legion. They assassinated people on the side of our vessel, and when free— That won't be necessary, Krillex said hastily. Class dismissed. Oh, and Ms. Vandross. Yes, you? Might you be open to consulting with our exobiology committee as we refine our classification? Rhea grinned, thinking of all the Earth species she still wanted to show her classmates. The thunderclap shrimp with its underwater plasma-like shockwave, the phantom jelly with venom so potent it's nearly invisible, or the titan salt lizard with a bone-crushing bite. I'd be delighted, lecturer. That same day, during lunch in the communal dining hall, Rhea found herself fielding a dozen more questions from startled classmates. Did you say you have herbivores that kill more humans than any other animal in their region? Asked a wide-eyed avian student. Oh, the river behemoths? Yes, they're quite territorial, said Rhea, calmly sipping her protein shake. They outrun humans on land and can tip over small boats. A reptilian student blinked rapidly. But they eat plants? Rhea shrugged. On Earth, being an herbivore doesn't always mean being docile. Want to hear about the battle storks? Aka cassowaries. They're giant birds with dagger-like claws, known to disembowel threats. A few of her lunchmates exchanged horrified glances. Ms. Vandross, came a new voice. Dean Orlinium, a graceful entity composed of woven light strands, approached. I hear your earlier lecture caused 3 students to faint. Might you give us a formal seminar on Earth's biosphere next week? The entire faculty is intrigued. Rhea tried not to look too delighted. Of course, Dean. Should I focus on the oceanic predators or the terrestrial? Maybe start with the softer side, like pollinators? Pollinators, yes, the dean said with clear relief. Something gentler. Rhea's eyes sparkled mischievously. Sure thing. We do have honeybees that do advanced math, and some giant hornets capable of spraying flesh-melting venom, but we'll begin with the gentle sorts. She caught the dean's posture go rigid. On second thought, Orlinium said faintly, perhaps a broader overview, with some warnings about graphic content? When the day of the special seminar arrived, every seat in the grand Prism Auditorium was filled. Even the Academy's cleaning drones had paused to observe, hovering discreetly near the doors. Welcome to Introduction to Earth's Biosphere Beyond Conventional Classifications, Rhea began cheerfully. At the faculty's request, we'll start with Earth's plant life. The audience visibly relaxed. Plants couldn't possibly be as terrifying as giant predatory sharks or venomous birds, right? Rhea projected a hologram of an alien-looking green structure snapping shut around a hapless insect. This is Dionaea mors, known as the snare lily. It's a carnivorous plant that traps insects in its specialized leaves, then digests them. Nervous murmurings spread. Are you saying your planet's vegetation consumes living creatures? Someone squeaked. Yes, Rhea confirmed. We have multiple genera of carnivorous plants. Some use pits of digestive fluid. Others use sticky tentacles. A few rely on near-instant vacuum-like suction. Then there's the walking palm, which can walk by growing new roots in one direction and letting old ones die off. A second hologram materialized, showing a parasitic vine wrapped around an enormous trunk. This is a strangling fig. It starts high in the canopy and slowly envelops its host tree. Earth's plants can be surprisingly, aggressive. A crystalline faculty member fluttered. Remarkable. The flora on your world seems to have developed advanced survival strategies. Do you at least have safe, passive grasses? Rhea cleared her throat. Well, our grass often has silica that grinds down herbivore teeth. Some plants emit chemical signals to call in predatory insects to fend off threats. Others can injure large animals with potent toxins, like the misery nettle, whose sting can cause agony for months. It's rumored to drive large mammals insane. Hearing that, a group of aquatic students in the front row began discreetly inching toward the exit. Though not all earth plants are dangerous, Rhea added helpfully. We do have many used for medicine, building, and so on, but yes, we've even weaponized some of the more extreme species historically. Orlinium strands pulsed in alarm. Weaponized plants? Not a surprise, I suppose, given everything else. Before the day ended, the Celestial Concord Academy had officially revised Earth from a Tier 2 garden world to a Tier 5 hazard planet in their interstellar records. Rhea considered that a victory of sorts, though a handful of students transferred out of exobiology altogether after witnessing horrifying footage of certain Earth insects. Later, Lecturer Krylix approached Rhea in the hall. Mrs. Vandross, we need you to cover Earth's simpler organisms next. Perhaps the Academy can handle mushrooms? He tried to keep his tone steady, but his limb's dull color suggested dread. Sure, Rhea said, thinking of the terrifying fungal parasites she'd lined up. I can start with the giant mycelium network that spans thousands of acres, a single organism that might be centuries old, or the mind-controlling fungi that manipulate insect hosts. Grillax nearly dropped his notes. On second thought, how about Earth's microorganisms? Rhea laughed. Oh, you mean the bacteria that thrive in radioactive waste, or the viruses that survive boiling acid, or prion-like proteins that fold other proteins into new shapes? Relux stared. Perhaps the dean should handle that request personally. Word of Rhea's seminars spread beyond the academy to the broader Celestial Council. Soon generals and admirals were popping into her sessions, taking copious notes. So these army ants can form living bridges? Rumbled Commander Gorthon of the Celestial Defense Force, his metallic exoskeleton clanking as he settled into a seat in the next seminar. And attack prey vastly larger than themselves through sheer numbers? Yes, Rhea confirmed, showing a hollow of swarming ants building a mobile fortress with their bodies. We also have leaf cutters that farm fungus for food and wage chemical warfare against other colonies. A strategic analyst waved an appendage. Wait. So your insects developed advanced agriculture and chemical weaponry long before your species? Millions of years earlier, Rhea said happily. In fact, the jumping jacks can leap multiple body lengths and are so aggressive they're used to test infiltration defenses. Meanwhile, the bomber beetle blasts boiling chemicals from its abdomen. The entire front row flinched in unison. It internally produces chemical explosives? Asked Commander Gorthon, voice quavering. Yes, as a defense mechanism, Rhea replied. Kind of like how the assassin bug wears its victims' corpses for camouflage, or how some glowworms dangle sticky filaments in the dark to catch prey. Honestly, insects are some of our planet's most successful organisms, and you humans deliberately study them? Demanded a wide-eyed official. Of course, said Rhea. They're fascinating. Some spread diseases, yes, but we've also gleaned medicinal knowledge, engineering inspiration. Like webs stronger than alloys. Bees do complex mathematics. Ants practice architecture. It's an endless source of scientific wonder. Suddenly, the rear doors parted for a tall, radiant figure of pulsing, interlocking geometry. High Commissioner Zitari of the Celestial Security Council. Ms. Vandross, Zitari intoned, your planet's wildlife has attracted the Council's highest attention. Given these revelations, we are officially fast-tracking Earth for full Concord membership. Rhea nearly dropped her data pad. Full membership? That's fantastic. Gorthon shifted uncomfortably. Ria's eyes shone. We'd love help with our research. Did you know we're experimenting with tardigrade genes to protect our astronauts from radiation? Or using specialized fungi to create self-regenerating materials for starships? Or, precisely, Zitari interjected, will require detailed reports on all such experimentation. General Gorthon, see to it that a permanent observation post is established. The general nodded, quickly comlinking his staff. And Ms. Vandross, we'd also like detailed notes on those parasites you mentioned. Mind-controlling molds? Was that real? Good luck. Ophiocordylaria, Ria replied, tapping her datapad. It hijacks insect behavior, compelling them to climb high and secure the perfect environment for fungal growth before... It's quite fascinating. The commissioner's geometric surfaces flickered in what looked like alarm. Yes, well, let's schedule a full security briefing. Might we begin with something less nightmarish next time? Our officials have delicate constitutions.
You myself,
Ria said, stifling a grin. Maybe I'll talk about Earth's amphibians, like the toad that squirts blood from its eyes. Or we could start with something gentler, like the moonlight gecko that glows in the dark to confuse predators. Zitari's shapes whirled in a panic. We'll figure it out. Just be prepared. News of Earth's new classification and full membership spread throughout the galaxy. Students and scholars from countless star systems tuned in to Ria's broadcasts, either out of fascination or sheer terror. Over time, the Academy's exobiology department dedicated multiple courses exclusively to Earth's life forms. Enrollment in comparative apex predation skyrocketed. A brand new lab wing was built, with top-tier biosafety measures designed to contain even the most tenacious of Earth's bacterial strains. Dean Orlinium and lecturer Krillix were rumored to keep personal anti-anxiety devices on hand whenever Ria lectured, just in case. Meanwhile, Rhea herself took everything in stride. She was proud that her planet, often dismissed as a mere cradle world, now commanded the respect and maybe fear of the entire celestial concord. She still hadn't introduced them to half the wonders Earth offered, things like blister wasps, salamander flame regeneration, or the ever-infamous tongue snatcher parasite that replaced a fish's tongue. But for now, she'd let them catch their breath. After all, a truly great teacher understood the importance of pacing. There was a whole planet's worth of bizarre and brilliant life to share, and that was only the beginning.
And what's for
In the days that followed, official inquiries and visits to Earth soared. Interstellar transport lines were upgraded to handle decontamination checkpoints, and a special council formed to study Earth's potentially hazardous yet scientifically invaluable ecosystems. Some in the galaxy felt a shiver of dread at the thought of what the humans would reveal next. Others brimmed with excitement over how much they might learn. And Ria Vandross couldn't wait to show everyone. Once they recovered from the last wave of shock, anyway. She'd just discovered some incredible new footage of a river behemoth scaring off 3 apex predators at once. "Hey, Lecturer Krylex," she said brightly on her way out of the auditorium. "Should I prepare that short video for our next session? It's quite something." Krillix's limbs flickered. "Oh, dear Cosmos. Yes, Miss Vandross, but please label it with a high-level caution." "Of course," she replied with a grin. "I always do." And with that, the seed of Earth's reputation as the galaxy's strangest and perhaps most formidable biosphere continued to spread, one shocking slide at a time.